want to explain to the viewers the tools that you're using for your technique?
Yes, these are a little unusual, but they've certainly been popular and they've certainly worked well for me. I've been able to speed my hand quilting technique up doing my queen and king size quilts in anything about 35 to 45 days. And so that's a big help. I can just do a lot of quilts in a very short time and they can be hand quilted. I'm going to use the deep recess thimble. I do like the thimble for the reason that it is deeply recessed, probably the deepest recess on the market today. I not only put my needle in this deep recess, I also want to put my thumb in the recess as I work along. That controls my needle during the quilting. Now, Aunt Becky, she is a real super little quilter for me. I call her my little quilting machine. I'm going to put Aunt Becky under the quilt. And when she comes out of the package, I kind of learned a long time ago to make it fit my finger. Remember little cricket toys we used to have when we were kids? Same idea. I'm going to pop the little Aunt Becky symbol forward just enough to get that curve. I'm going to bend the back side down just enough where it will stay on my fingers without falling off. So now we're ready to go. Another thing I like to do with my quilts is in this frame, I like to loosen my fabric very loose.
That's I couldn't get used to that in your class. I thought, oh man, she doesn't have any tension on this at all. But you use that as your, instead of rocking the needle like I was taught to do, you bounce your quilt up and down.
And Aunt Becky does it for me. That's why I call her my little quilter. I usually measure about 3 to 4 inches here in my little portable lap frame. It's portable, it goes everywhere with me, and so I take my quilting with me everywhere. It gets done faster for that reason
What about on your pointer finger? You've also got...
I have the little rubber finger like the secretary's filing finger. It just speeds up the process by being able to pull that little short needle through very quickly.
And let's show them the frame that we're working on.
Okay.
Which is also different than what you normally see. It is a, actually your husband has made them for years.
Yes, he has. This is the little lap base and it doesn't slide off because we put felt on the bottom. We use a larger lap base than some of these have in the past because with a heavy queen or king size quilt, you need good stability on your lap.
What about the needle?
Well, I use a small needle. I know many people love the 12, size 12 quilting needle. This happens to be a size 10 quilting needle.
I was going to say this is not a 12, this has got to be a 10.
10, it seems, makes it just a little easier to quickly wind our knots on. I don't move wrists either below the quilt or above. I no longer come out here and use my thumb to move the fabric.
That's what I did. I rocked my needle all the time.
Both of my grandmothers quilted that way. Aunt Becky under the quilt here is just going to do everything for me. Okay. So I'm very pleased with that.
So you have a motion of your finger underneath.
Of the Aunt Becky.
Okay.
There's Aunt Becky. Now a very unusual thing is I do loosen these to raise a lot of eyebrows because usually we work with very tight fabric. But I'm going to lift the fabric up here, and when I put it on the frame, I usually measure a distance of about 3 to 4 inches right here in the center. That's just about the correct amount. Aunt Becky is going to come right up here. Now most quilters pick their needle up on the side and start to work. But as I said, I don't want to move anything, so I'd have to move my whole arm and shoulder to be able to get my needle straight in for that first stitch. So instead of that, and this is not my invention, I've seen many old-time quilters tripod the needle, bringing these 3 fingers, the thumb and these 2 fingers, on top of the needle. At this point, I take my thumb and shove the wonderful thimble. Now I'm going to reach down with that one other finger, and I'm going to bring that needle over, and look, the needle is in perfect condition for that first stitch. If any new quilter needs to know, we need to put that needle in each first stitch straight in. That's a tongue twister for me. But another little thing I will mention right here too, we get a gap in our stitching sometimes, and I have learned that we can eliminate that gap if we only consider a half a stitch with each first stitch.
Okay, that's a good point.
So I'm going to measure a half a stitch in front of the thread that is showing in my fabric. Aunt Becky is going to lift and give me the tension that I would not otherwise have. And then I'm going to lay the needle down as flat as I can. I'm going to push until the point of the needle shows. Remember where I said I'd put my thumb? Right on top of that needle as I shoved it over there. Excellent control, and what a time saver. I have great control of that needle with that thumb. If I get a big stitch I don't like, my thumb can bring it back and give me the stitch I want. Now first I'm going to show you very slowly, slow motion here. Aunt Becky moves back, way back for my students. I ask them to take it way back. Do you see the needle drop down all by itself with the fabric? Now when I bring Aunt Becky forward, right here it's lifting the needle for me. And so that's when I'm going to catch another stitch, and Aunt Becky moves. Do you notice the thimble is not moving except to go forward?
And your hand's not rocking.
And my hand is not moving either. I don't move anything. I hear moving parts wear out too fast. Okay, that's the slow motion, and I'm going to pull that through. Now the first thing I would do would be to stab the needle close to my work again. Okay? Now I'm going to tripod right away, and here we go, right here. And I'm going to push the needle over to that side again, pick it up. Now I'm going to show you just a little faster, if this works for me. Half a stitch for each first stitch, and the needle going straight in, right? Now people say, I like my finger under there so I can tell where the point of the needle is. I don't want my finger under there, it would stick it. So here is Aunt Becky, and metal is touching metal, and I know right where it is. Down again for that first stitch. Now Aunt Becky can come up here and work real close to the point of the needle for me, and I get beautiful even stitches very quickly.
The other thing that you do that I wasn't taught was you load your needle completely to the end.
I know. That's bad, isn't it?
No, actually it's very smart.
Even with using my rubber finger here ready to pull that little short needle through, I can't get a hold of it. And so I'm going to dip the needle down and back, and just with a fingernail or my finger underneath the quilt, I gather the fabric on just enough to be able to pull it right on through.
Okay.
And stab near our work. Now by taking that half a stitch back there where I needed to, there's more pull put on the back stitch because it's straightening out and putting a pull there.
Now how tight do you pull your thread?
I don't pull it tight. I would like it just to lay in the fabric.
So you don't snug it up so it actually ripples?
No, we get beautiful little shadowed quilting by not pulling it tight. Put it over to the side in this one.